Good morning, Ambassador Barrett. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure the students in Lviv will enjoy to listen to you. And I would open our conversation with the fact that your professional career is at this moment as United States Ambassador in Luxembourg, but there was probably a life before, probably very interesting, that you would like to summarize somehow.
Well, yes. And first of all, thank you, Professor, very much. It's really an honor for me to be with you and with your students. And I realize that this is a challenging time for you and for your students. And I remain optimistic about the future of Ukraine. I remain optimistic about the future of the world because of young students like the students that you're teaching, because they are our hope for the future. And so the fact that they are taking your course and taking the time to learn, I think is very, very important. But I came to this position in January of 2022, and I came from local government. I was the mayor of a city in the Midwestern part of the United States in Milwaukee. It's about 120 kilometers north of Chicago. And it's a city of about 600,000. So it's roughly the same size as the country of Luxembourg. It's a city, but it's roughly the same size as the country of Luxembourg. And I had been mayor there for almost 18 years, which made me in the United States the longest serving big city mayor at the time when I left. But prior to that, I had been in the United States Congress for 10 years. So I went back and forth between Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. My training is in law. But I've pretty much committed my life to public service at the local level, the state level, and now at the federal level, at the international level. So it's a real honor to serve President Biden in this role.
Yeah, and of course, in that role, you are very much in line or say aware of the current administration policy priorities. Is there something you would like to mention?
Well, I think you'll be happy to hear that in a sad sense, Ukraine is at the top of that list. And President Biden from day one has made it clear that Ukraine is of the highest priority to the United States, and doing everything we can to make sure that the Ukrainian people have their freedom, that they can defeat Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine. That's extremely important. And you've seen that both through the words and the deeds of President Biden, as well as the support from the United States. And that's something that I think your students should know, that the United States is a close friend, remains a very, very close friend, ally, and supporter of Ukraine, because it's important to Ukraine, it's important to Europe, it's important to the world. So the stakes are not small at all. They're huge stakes. So that's a priority. Obviously, what's going on right now in Israel after the horrific attack by Hamas, that is a priority for President Biden and the State Department. The environment remains a high priority. Recently, we completed COP28 and a movement towards away from fossil fuels. That remains a long-term project that I think we all recognize the importance of. But there are other places, whether it's Africa, whether it's parts of Europe, whether it's parts of South America, where there are still foreign policy concerns that are high on the priority list for the president. So those priorities become my priorities as well.
Well, of course, you picture the world in its current bleak situation, but I'm also positive, like you, that the next generation will have to and probably will come up with interesting replies to those challenges. In that sense, the importance of diplomacy in the 21st century can probably not be underestimated. Has anything, in your view, changed in the way diplomacy should be looked at? Or is it still the way as you learned it at the time?
Well, diplomacy has always been very, very important, but I think it's probably more important now than ever before. And it's important that people learn to talk to each other. I know that sounds like something you learn in kindergarten, in your first year of school. Be nice to each other, talk to each other, but respect is really the cornerstone of diplomacy, and that's respecting countries, it's respecting individuals, it's respecting cultures and religions and ethnicity. all of that is very, very important. And it may seem naive at a time when we have so much conflict going on in the world, but I really do believe at our core, we as human beings have so much more in common than what separates us. We all want to take care of our families. We all want to have a job where we can support our families, and we all want to be safe. So those are really, really common denominators for all of us. And unfortunately, when people don't talk to each other, when people don't try to understand each other, or they try to exploit other people, that's where the problems arise. And so diplomacy is such a powerful tool against violence that we have to continue to use diplomacy as much as humanly possible.
Thank you wholeheartedly also for your opening message that was so encouraging for the students, and thank you very much for your precious time.
Okay, well, again, I'm serious. It's an honor for me to be with you on this call.